Hey, very quick impromptu video because the BBC official Doctor Who social media accounts have just released some very interesting news that I just wanted to quickly respond to. So they released this picture. You may notice some creepy looking dudes in those, and if you're not familiar with classic Who, you might not realise that those are Cybermen. I mean, the handlebars on the head kind of give it away. But they are original generation Cybermen. Original, you'll hear them referred to as Mondasian Cybermen. They're the Cybermen that the Doctor first encountered on the planet Mondas, are Earth's twin planet in the Doctor Who universe. And this is what the Cybermen looked like in the very early days before they covered their entire bodies with metal. They've had numerous upgrades since then, to the point where they looked ridiculous in the 80s. This is the original look of them. And they're apparently bringing them back. So, what does that mean? Well, who knows? There's not much information in there. It's kind of exciting. They're going back to their roots. It could be good, it could be bad. I don't really know what to think about it at the moment. This is, like I said, this is what the Cybermen look like right back from when they, earliest point in their timeline when they were Cybermen. They're not fully armoured yet. You can see they've got, you know, there's some sort of flesh, glove covered, but you can clearly see some flesh on their hands still. They've got sort of fabric masks on. It's not just all encased in metal, and they've got these, you know, really big bulky machineries on their front that they've augmented their bodies with, and that you know, over the years they've refined that and they've become more and more metal till you get to the point where you see the more recent ones that have been in the series that look like Iron Man and that are just one big metal body. But these are the original ones, and a lot of people think they're very creepy because of those that mask and the kind of cloth face. It kind of adds a creepiness to it. So there's that. It might be really good because of that, but also, do they look a bit naff? I don't know. I mean, they worked from what I can gather, they worked really well from the clips I've seen in the old classic series. Hands up, I have not seen the very first serial with the Cybermen, the 10th Planet it's called. I also haven't seen the very next one, the Moon Base. My earliest point that I've seen the Cybermen and actually watched a whole serial is the second Doctor story, The Invasion, by which they changed quite a lot from this point. They pretty much change with every story in these early days. So where do these guys fit in terms of the Cybermen's timeline, I was wondering, because they're not exactly the same as those ones from the very first serial that the first Doctor encountered in his last ever story. They've got a lot of similar features. They've got the cloth face, which puts them before the second time we see them in the Moon Base, because by that point they've got a metal face. But in the first ones, in the very first serial we see them in, they've got these gigantic, massive headlights that are about that big on the top of their heads, and they're clearly a bit smaller in this one. So I think they're probably somewhere in between. So are they time travelling, or has the Doctor time travelled to a point in their history? I'm not entirely sure where they fit in Earth history with this. Either way, my guess is that we're exploring some of the Cybermen's history here, their past. We've always, with most Cybermen stories, we're seeing this sort of next evolution of them and where they're moving on to after their previous story. It's always that we've seen Cybermen stories in a roughly chronological order, but this one, it looks like it's going back into their history, which is interesting. And we can fill in some blanks, maybe. It doesn't fill in the blank that I would really like to be filled in, though. And that is, when Stephen Moffat took over, he carried on using the design initially from the alternative universe Cybermen that Russell T Davies had set up. But quite clearly, the stories that he had them in, they were meant to be the Cybermen of our universe. Rory goes onto the spaceship, and there's a whole fleet of Cybermen that are clearly meant to be at the height of their empire and waging war across the galaxy. And they're clearly meant to be the Cybermen of our universe. So why do they look like the Cybermen of the old universe? I want to see the story of why that is, personally. I'd like to see maybe like the 80s Cybermen meet the alternate universe Cybermen, which, remember, last time we saw them, they'd been sort of thrown into the time stream. Some of them has been scattered to Victorian England, and we saw some of them in the next Doctor. But who knows where else they ended up. Some of them might have ended up somewhere else. And the 80s style Cybermen might have come across them. Who knows? I'd quite like to see that story and that filled in. But hey, we're going to get this, and I'm quite excited to see what they do with it. Also, it's going to be episodes 12 and 13. It's going to be the season finale. So who knows? They might form part of the season arc. You might not see them to the very last episode, but all the mystery and stuff that's going to be built up, because you know there's going to be mystery. There's always mystery with Stephen Moffat. There's always a season arc, and it's going to be built up throughout the season. So that's going to lead to the Cybermen, right? It's got to be. Are you excited about the new Cybermen? This is just my initial reaction. The news came out today. I thought I'm going to just spew out my initial thoughts. I'd love to hear, are you excited? Is this what you wanted from the Cybermen? So let me know in the comments below. That's all for now. Very quick video just to react to that, really. I will be having more Doctor Who content coming up to the new series. I'm going to do, you know, what I want to see from the new series. That's a video I've got planned, so keep tuned for that. And I might do some reviews of it, or I might just wait till the season's finished and just do a season wrap-up. I don't know. Haven't decided yet. But there will definitely be more Doctor Who content coming from this channel. So see you soon. Bye.